I'm so
Did you hit the line?
I did. Is it live?
You're on.
Oh. Hi everyone. How do I know? Okay. Whew. So I'm super nervous because if you know me, then you know that I am camera shy, believe it or not. I'm gonna wait for a few people to log on, so maybe like a minute or two. So if you want to go grab some water while you wait for me to turn the movie on, you can. Oh man, I wonder if you guys can hear my music. I'm trying to put calming music so I can like calm my nerves. So give it like what, another couple minutes?
Stop on the dump. Talk about when you started. Talk about
Okay. So the reason why I did this film was really because I wanted to share women's stories, especially on Women's History Month. And this month, the theme is all about promoting hope and healing. So that's how I got the idea for the film. And I have been inspired by the women that you're about to see. And so I figured, why not share their stories in a short film? And during that time, some uh, I also had some healing to do. So, and you'll see in the film, that's why I decided to share my story too. So, thank you so much for tuning in. Um, yeah, and we're just gonna wait a little bit. What do you think I should?
whenever you're ready.
All right, so I'm gonna start it. I'm gonna just pause this. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. Sorry. Okay, here we go.
Why is he blue? Why is he blue? Why is he blue? Why he blue? Is he blue? It looks like he's breathing. I think he's still breathing. Someone help him. I think he's still breathing. They said no. It's air leaving his body. He's gone. Grace saw my heart. Grace created the idea. Grace motivated me when I didn't feel like I could. Grace held me when I couldn't move forward. Grace put the people together, and Grace made the plan happen. What you see is a part of me by Grace. Something I learned in my 40 years of life is that it's okay to be going through the process of healing while healing others. We don't have to have it all figured out to help someone else. My trauma started when I was 8 years old, when I saw my dad laying there blue in his hospital bed. I don't think anyone realized I was there, but I was, and I definitely didn't know how it would impact the rest of my life. I just knew there was a loss, and a part of me would never be the same. I carried on doing what I thought made me feel good, going through different phases of life with drugs, partying, lost and confused, but doing what I could to get by. I remember hitting a point of sadness where I didn't even care if I lived or died. I'll save you the drama of terrible decisions I made and fast forward to the chapter of motherhood. My children gave me hope and gave me purpose. I poured everything I had into them. Whatever I didn't like growing up, I tried not to repeat, and having them made me want to be the best version of me. That journey didn't really begin until my youngest son turned 4. That's when my soul really spoke out, and I knew I needed to do something. I just didn't know that something was to heal. So after years filled with maybe not the best decisions and sorting things out, I finally arrived at needing to heal my inner child. Which leads me to our first story from a beautiful artist named Sabrina Herbosa. She chose art as a form of healing to bring a community together. I'm so inspired by how aware she is and so grateful for her to share her story. Today's topic is all about healing. So, how did you know that you needed to heal?
I think it came up a lot in my relations with other people. So I realized there was a lot of times where I didn't know how to handle conflict well, or it was hard for me to communicate and really express what I needed or my wants. Just something that I had to acknowledge and just learn how to work through in the moments where these things came up.
Can you share something that you needed to heal?
I think being Filipino American, being a daughter of an immigrant, there were a lot of things that I had to heal from growing up, a lot of childhood trauma. But I realized it's also generational trauma. It's something passed on from ancestor to ancestor to ancestor. I realized also that stuff that they internalized wasn't okay and wasn't good. And so those were things that I had to unlearn.
What are some things that you did to heal yourself?
I think initially, because I was surrounded in a lot of self-doubt and fear, what really helped was to find a sisterhood, specifically a Filipino sisterhood that allowed me to show up as myself and to be vulnerable, and it became a mirror to see okay, this is what I have to work on.
So, has your healing contributed to healing others?
Yes, I think that being in Race Panay, being in a circle with other sisters really gave me the confidence to do the things that I love and to really hone in on my skills and my craft. It also gave me the confidence to create installation art and sculpture art. I'm able to create spaces for people to just be, and self-reflection and meditation. And then because I couldn't express myself through building and be completely vulnerable, it was really important for me to explore dance again. If I was sad or angry or happy, through movement and dance, I was really able to just release those emotions or express those emotions that I couldn't otherwise vocalize or say.
Our next story is about an amazing woman, Edna Garcia Depini. Born and raised in Brooklyn. I share that so you understand the fight she has in her. And yet, I've never met someone with a heart as big as hers. Hear how she overcame her mother and father being incarcerated most of her childhood and birthing a nonprofit organization called Rise. I wanted to talk to you about how you have helped heal the youth. You've been doing it for years. So could you talk to us about Rise and what you do?
Well, you said how I help heal youth. And it's sort of like the opposite way around. The work that I do is a process of my healing. So that's the joy that I get out of working with youth. It's pretty much helping me come full circle with who I am, what I do, and what my purpose is here in life.
So let's talk a little bit about Edna and your story and how your story kind of is similar to the children that you're helping, right?
Absolutely. As the programs grew and as Rise grew, I felt compelled to work with youth who had incarcerated parents. And that's when we started working through the criminal justice sector and programming. Because I'm a product of that environment. My dad was incarcerated for 16 years of my life. But here I am, 11 years later, and the Rise Above Bars program is very dear to my heart because my mother too had been through the system more than what I would have liked to experience as a child. With that being said, I knew that there were a lot of youth in Reading that were dealing with those same ills.
So what is it exactly that Rise does?
Rise is a nonprofit organization where we foster the arts to bring awareness for criminal justice reform, violence prevention, and social ills.
How does Rise continue to promote hope?
Hope for me is definitely letting children know that we're here for them. They have a support system. Hope that they'll keep communicating with their family, their peers, their surroundings. And I mean, we can find hope in the most simplest things in life, for sure.
Childhood traumas have a way of showing up until you deal with them. Trust me, I speak from experience. It wasn't until my 30s that I heard about childhood trauma, and then had the courage to, number one, believe it existed, and number two, actually deal with it. Coming from a religious background had me stuck thinking things needed to be a certain way, when in reality, life isn't black and white. It's colorful, it's progressive, and always changing. I've learned that perspective is everything. This next story by Veronica Chow definitely hurt my heart. There was so much I wanted to say, but all I could do was hold space for her to share her story. I admire her strength and vulnerability, and I am so grateful for her voice. Here's a brave woman sharing a traumatic childhood experience with the world for the first time. So can you tell me something that you've personally had to heal from?
So when I was a teenager, I think I was 13, between 13 to 16, I can't remember when. So I was sexually assaulted by someone who's pretty close to me. And I wasn't raped per se, but the physical assault was terrifying enough to change my whole person. Mm-hmm. I can feel like I just shut myself down. Mm-hmm. And like there are so many emotions that I held. There was, of course, anger and rage. How could he have done what he has done? Yeah. And then there's also the sadness and the loneliness. And then there's also the shame because, you know, the woman who is touched is like not worthy anymore. And so there's also loneliness because I couldn't share, right? And then toward the later years, there's also disappointment at myself because I was mad I couldn't forgive him. Because in my mind, if I forgive him, that means I have overcame. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm right here with you. You're fine.
Okay. I held all this emotion for longest time, and I thought I will heal if I am able to forgive him, but I came to the conclusion that this healing journey may be constant, like maybe a lifetime's work, and I don't think I'm fully healed yet, and I'm not sure if I ever will be, but it's okay. I think for me now, it's a matter of it's about a matter of how am I going to transform this trauma into a scar. It's more like a matter about whether I want to allow this trauma to keep me stay small and weak and let it define how worthy I am, whether I'm worthy or not, or to own this scar and say, you know, hey, like this is what I've been through. Yes, this is what made me me now, and because of this experience, I'm stronger now. I came out stronger because of this scar, and I have the strength now. Mm-hmm. So that's what I focus on, and that's what I try to heal from.
Wow. So then as a pole and fitness instructor, how did you reconnect with your sexuality?
I actually accidentally discovered pole dancing. I was a hip hop and jazz dancer, and then I was just mesmerized by pole dancing's, the flexibility, the strength, the elegance, grace, and also, of course, I don't know if I say sexuality, all of them combined. And it's after years of practice, I realized the confidence that I've gained, it really helped me heal the trauma that I have.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and so I realized by training physically, mentally, it helped me realize that I'm capable of doing this, not just physically but also mentally, and that helped me heal and help others
That's awesome.
to heal.
I believe healing or reparenting your inner child is important because it's a part of our subconscious. That 8-year-old girl was still sad, scared, and stuck in that hospital room where my dad was. And I didn't know she was stuck until I went back to heal her. I had to talk to her and let her know she didn't have to stay in that room anymore, until she grabbed my hand and we walked out of that hospital room together. As if having to heal from childhood traumas isn't enough, we live a life full of surprises. Some good and some we could do without. I realized that death was a trigger for me in 2019. I lost about 6 family members in a span of 8 months. Hearing horrible news after horrible news, this next story hit hard for me. Here's a story from a resilient woman whose strength and perseverance shine bright when life threw her a curveball. Here's Mary Lou Burkhart's healing story.
So the topic of conversation is healing. About 2 years ago, you found out some news. Do you mind sharing what that was and your healing journey?
So yes, 2 years ago during a routine mammogram, I found out I had breast cancer stage 1, which is very shocking news, obviously, for anyone to take in. And it was, now that I've known what layers are to breast cancer, I was stage 1. My tumor was, I think, 4 centimeters. And that was important because your tumor size can decide whether you're going to have chemotherapy or not. Because of my tumor size was so small, I did not have to have chemotherapy. They did recommend radiation therapy, which I took at that time. So I think it was such a blessing that it was so small. I remember when I first found out the news, I hadn't run in so long, but I felt the need to run. And I just started to run again outside and back into nature and so forth and so on. Within that month's time, I don't know if this is it or not, but when I was juicing and running or what have you, went back to the doctor's office because initially my tumor size was about 9 centimeters. And by the time I had got my pathology report again after about a month, it was 4 centimeters. So had it been above 4, it's possible I would have had chemo. In reaching out to people, I was connected with people who had already been through this situation. And everybody goes through their obviously various different situations with breast cancer, diagnosis to treatment. But every person that I was connected with was such a blessing. They each had their stories, they each had valuable information to give me. And one person told me, protect your mind because it can go many, many places. And that was so extremely helpful at that time. So it was very empowering to do that and to take things in my own hands and make sure that I was asking the right questions and just make sure that I felt that I was being heard and listened to in the process.
So what are some things that you did to heal?
I believe in healing post breast cancer. I mean, I was lucky to have a great team at the hospital that I was at. And I was already researching things obviously on my own, just looking at people who had already been through similar situations and looking for positive outcomes in terms of how people were today, years later, or post treatment, that type of thing. But it wasn't all just one thing. There's just so many tools that you need to heal outside of supplements. And sometimes they're the simplest things, like just giving yourself time.
As a healer, how do you continue to inspire hope?
I do my best to show up for myself so people can show up for others, and I'm looking to empower others as well through yoga. I was certified through Yoga for Cancer, which is a wonderful organization to help yoga students and other people in the field to help others who are going through either cancer treatments or either post-recovery. So I'm able to help people, with either physical or mental issues that they might be going through. It's a hard, it's a hard period to deal with. So I'm very grateful to do that, to inspire hope in them that, you can heal in these types of ways. Healing, I don't think it's an ever closed process, it's ongoing, right? And just like anything, it's not linear. So with yoga, it's allowing me to give in that way, to give them space to feel empowered in the movement or just feel empowered just by giving themselves rest.
Speaking of unexpected events, in 2020, the world was in uproar because of the injustices with Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd, to name a few. Here's an inspiring story by LaToya Bowens, who pushed past her fears and doubts, creating space for people to take action and be a part of history, while also creating an inspiring documentary called Symbol of Solidarity.
So do you remember the exact moment that you were triggered?
So the exact moment when I was triggered, that's deep. I do remember that moment. It for sure was Ahmaud Arbery. That bothered me a lot, especially because he was running and I run. So I think it resonated with me on like multiple levels. It was super real. You know what I'm saying? It was like any old street in any town. It could have been my town. This man's not here no more. And he just went out for a run.
So what did you do to heal from the pain that you were feeling?
The healing process for us really started with conversation and dialogue. It was just a lot of protests going on, right? All over the country. We're watching it on the news. Nothing's happening in our town. And I think, some people chose to do that, and that's cool for them. It wasn't cool for me, but I still wanted us as a family to feel like we were doing something, right? Like in this moment, you're gonna look back and be like, yo, what did you do?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So because our town is predominantly white, I was like, yo, who's gonna do something? Something needs to happen in Jenkintown. And it just hit you like, you do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who's gonna do it?
Yeah.
You gotta do it. In June of 2020, we actually had, we called it a peaceful gathering. We wanted to make sure that people knew they could come out and there wasn't gonna be no drama.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we're gathering for a reason, and we wanted to be productive. We wanted to be something that the town could come to, everyone in the town, and feel like your voice is getting heard, and feel like you're learning. And my sweetheart made the most amazing artwork that when he showed it to me the first time, I literally got goosebumps after I asked him to speak. And he's an artist, so he speaks through his work, right? The colors, the vibrancy of the colors, just the message, it just came right off the canvas. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I was like, yo, we got a story that touches the heart. It needs to be told.
Can you share some of the stories of how this documentary helped heal the community?
So I would say that the documentary has helped the community of Jenkintown by keeping the dialogue going, right? Like first and foremost. So every time people either see the trailer or like a piece of the documentary, they're always in awe. They're always in a place of like, we still have work to do, which is the point.
Yeah.
And I think it also puts them in a place of, what can I do differently? You know what I'm saying? How can I help us be one? How can I help us be one in Jenkintown and beyond?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Adding to life's unexpectancy, we have to talk about the pandemic and navigating through what we thought would only be a couple of weeks to a complete shutdown. Here's a story from two frontliners, Maybelline Lavina and Stacy Sugarman.
What was it like for you ladies during the pandemic in the hospital?
It was very stressful and very overwhelming. Nobody knew anything about this disease. Nobody knew what we were walking into. Nobody knew anything. And people were just dying of this every day, and it was scary. I found myself having palpitations going into work. Like, am I gonna be able to do this? Am I gonna be able to take care of other people? I can barely handle myself, I feel like.
The only good thing about it that came up is we all worked together.
Yes.
It didn't bother us what we were going to, as much as we were scared, as much as we were thinking that, oh my goodness, what are we supposed to do? But our head got together, and the first thing that we thought was to just make sure that the patients are taken care of.
You mentioned not knowing if you were able to do what you needed to do at work. What did you do to heal?
I just tried to surround myself with people who matter to me and who I love. My family, even though we couldn't see each other, just speaking to them on a regular basis was very therapeutic.
And you?
Lots of prayers. Lots and lots of prayers. That's what made me, And the community is overwhelming for, they gave us a lot of free, the restaurants around the area. They gave us free meals.
Yes, so that was very nice, and it just felt appreciated.
Yeah.
And
Felt very special.
I remember there was
an airplane,
like an airplane or a
from
blimp.
the Air Force. They were
Yeah,
flying up in the
across.
sky.
They like, oh, go to the window at this time and just look. I forget what
Look through
what
the
the
window.
message said.
Yeah.
But that was a nice.
I forgot what the
tribute
message
as
was,
well.
but they were flying up and, cheering us up.
Can you share a story or a memory that stands out to you most?
There was a young woman, maybe about I think her mid-20s. When I first had her, her condition was horrible. She was on what's called a BiPAP machine, like that big mask people wear to help them breathe better. Her breathing was very fast. She was definitely in some kind of respiratory distress. They wanted to put her on a ventilator, but we were short ventilators, I think, throughout the whole hospital. So long story short, maybe about a couple weeks later, sometime later, I had her as a patient again. It was like a complete 180. She was off oxygen, had no supplemental oxygen. She looked fantastic.
Aw, that's awesome.
And I think I was the one that discharged her home.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So yeah, that stands out in my mind.
At one point, every time we discharge patients, we had this music that
Oh
we
yeah, it was
turned
like
on.
the Rocky music.
The Rocky
It would play
music.
overhead.
So once you hear that music, we know somebody's going home. And that is the moment. It's like the highlight of our job,
That's awesome. I remember finding it difficult to navigate through the pandemic, feeling hopeless and restless, wanting to do something but not knowing what to do. But I loved watching Sarah O'Brien Hammond, founder of the Now Network. She was able to pivot smoothly, creating a safe space for women to connect virtually during the pandemic. So you're the founder of the Now. Can you tell us what that is?
The NOW stands for the Network of Women, and it's a community that I created pre-pandemic and was an in-person only community that was really meant to support women that weren't talking about the shit that mattered. And it was a community that brought women together to really talk about issues that were top of mind, but not necessarily in mainstream conversations.
Can you talk about how the pandemic affected the Now?
Yes, I think that like every business owner, you had to just think quick on your feet. I think if you wanted to stay in business, you had to like just be nimble and figure out like how can I continue to support my community in a different but same way, right? Mm-hmm. So it was like, how do you show up for your community in the same safe space and judgment-free, offering the same offerings, but yet do it virtually. And that was a struggle because I wanted to give people an in real life experience, and you can't do that. It's Zoom. Yeah. And then we just came up with creative ways. Like we do breakout rooms and we do like fun events where we put people together, and it's like speed dating, although it's like, friend dating. So we just did various things to try and make it less corporate-y and more the feel that we want them to have, which is like this warm, yummy, like safe space for them to like talk about the issues that really matter.
What did you do to personally heal through the pandemic and keep yourself going to be able to put these events on and keep showing up for other women?
One of the things I struggle with is giving myself that time, and I think you could probably relate to this. I tend to be a person that does and doesn't sit a lot in my own space. And I have to practice what I preach because I'm in front of a community and I'm encouraging them to do it, and I hold space for us to do it. And so I think that holds me honest because I have to do it when we're together. And I just have been trying to integrate small small achievable steps. And I try to like encourage that for everybody, because if you just set a goal that's too lofty, you're never going to achieve it, and then you're going to throw in the towel and it's just going to go south really quickly.
SMART goals, I think, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, SMART goals that I'm a big fan of, which is just, it means like you're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable. It's a little bit of a reach, and it's also like within a certain time frame. And I just try and like, even if it's 2 minutes of like sitting in silence before you get out of bed. And so I just try every day to give myself some time. I'm a pretty good meditator. I'm pretty consistent with my meditation practice. It's not perfect, nothing is, but that has been really my saving grace. But again, like I am at every now event, or most of them, and so I make sure that the programming includes a lot of that time to heal.
I love that. Can you share a memorable moment of the now? Like, why keep showing up, you know?
Such a good question. The reason I show up, and I could, like every time I say it, I get really emotional, because when when you're in a space and with someone you trust, and you share something, and you see somebody else drop their shoulders and take a sigh of relief, and not feel alone, and not feel judged or ashamed because of their feelings, like that is powerful. And sometimes I'll have events where maybe 5 people will show up. You know, we have 100 members, maybe 5 will show up, because they're scheduling, right? Not everybody shows, it's not like 100 people show up at every event.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a failure. There's only 5 people there, you know, but I'll get emails after saying, thank you so much for holding this space. I would have never shared if there were more people there. And so you realize that even what you see as a potential failure, or like, oh gosh, I could have been better, someone is like, that you created a space for me to share, in a space that I probably wouldn't have if there were more people. And so I think that motivates me to know that there's a lot of different ways to do it, but also just like that feeling of someone releasing their shoulders. And that sigh, you can see it. You know when that you see that moment that person goes, oh, they just let their guard down. And you're like, yes, I got to her. She might not speak. She might not say anything other than that. But to me, that's enough, because that showed that she's like, doesn't feel alone.
Yeah.
And regardless of what the conversation is, she doesn't feel alone. And I know that we've served our purpose as a community.
I love that.
Healing looks different for many different people, and this next story is about 2 women, Audrey Francisco and Deirdre Levy, who brought people together and helped heal during the pandemic by taking action and giving back to the community.
Can you share some of the things that you guys did over the pandemic, because you guys were busy?
The pandemic, it brought a lot of pain, but it also brought a lot of opportunity to make connections. Right. So that's something I think I'm grateful for. I know, like, you know, we made more connections through the pandemic.
Yeah.
So
It was well, with everything, the whole thing that happened during the pandemic, it was just, it's just so sad that it happened because of the pandemic, but everything happened. It's beautiful. It's you'll see how people really care to each other. And one thing that really touches me is for every people who donated monetary or things, they will create a message for whoever will receive their coffee or their food, right? And when they repost that with the message and they really appreciate the message, it's really in there. It really, like,
That's beautiful.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And then people who receive those drinks, it doesn't stop there. It motivates them to do the same thing. So people who receive a coffee will contact us, and I want to buy a coffee too for this
For
people.
someone else.
You know, it's
like-
beautiful.
It
It's
catches
just
you.
like the kindness. It just
That's
roll
beautiful.
over.
there was a lot of adaptability and resilience, and like just being able to change how your business runs. I like give her a lot of credit
Yes.
because it is not an easy time. Like
Yeah.
a lot of businesses, they came under.
Yes.
So I think with the original intention of like NYC Filipinos is to just like really make sure we're investing in our community, so that way we have that full support in general. My mom was a nurse, and we delivered to her hospital. So it was really special, like, to make those collaborations and find ways we can work together.
Yeah. What did you guys do to heal yourselves in the process of healing other people?
That's already my healing, and I'm very happy to see people are healing. I think that's my healing. Yeah, that's my healing to myself, that I see people that really doing well.
This next story is so moving. Anytime I see the youth getting involved, it affects my heart in a different way. It gives me extra hope that we're going to be okay. This next story is about a girl, Layla Capers, who decided to use her talent for good by uplifting a community with her voice. So what inspired you to sing to the frontline workers?
I just wanted to do something nice for the frontline workers. You know, it was just going to be a one-time thing. I just wanted to say thank you in a different way. And it grew. I mean, people wanted more, and so I did more.
Did you have a lot of people out there when you sang the first time?
At the first time, it was just my neighbors because nobody really knew what was happening.
And then I heard like a lot of cars started to come around. And
yeah, people started driving in from Staten Island and New Jersey. It felt unreal.
That's awesome. Did you find that singing to them helped you heal during that time?
Singing to them really did help me heal because I got to see my neighbors and my family, and it was a time where kids were home from school and some people lost their jobs and many people were working from home, and it gave everybody something to look forward to.
That's awesome. So what's been the best part of your singing journey?
The best part about my singing journey was really bringing my community together because we came from neighbors into buddies. We became so close to each other, and I really value that.
So how did it feel to be recognized and awarded for the support that you gave?
It felt really good because I was able to shine a light on the good deed, and it made others want to start doing the same, you know, give back and participate, and everybody was supporting each other.
Healing is not linear. It's not fun. It gets messy. It's painful, exhausting. And the deeper you go, you may ask yourself why you're doing it. But having a deeper connection to yourself, to genuinely love and understand your journey, the growth that comes with healing is so worth it. And from the stories you've heard by these amazing women who continue to inspire hope through their healing, it's in our victory that people will find their hope. 2 things I've learned is that life is short and we're all on a journey, trying to do our best. So be patient and be kind, because life can be hard on its own. We don't need to add to it. This film was originally made in honor of Women's History Month to share stories of women who provided healing and promoted hope, and ended up being a part of my healing journey. My grandfather was hospitalized and passed away during the making of this film. What was going to be in honor of him is now in memory of him and all the lives I've lost.
Things can be hard, but that won't stop us. We can do anything long as we trust. We must believe the better days come. Let's show some love to help everyone. Help everyone. Let's just help everyone. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Help everyone. Help everyone.
So that's it. And now we're going to do a Q&A. If you guys have any questions, you can put them in the corner or in the box, right?
In the comments?
In the comments. There you go. It's been a long week for me.
Oh, man. While we wait for some some questions to pop up. You're getting a lot of love in the
Yes,
chat right now.
thank you.
But
Should I put them up? How do I
we'll
do
put them up in a
Oh,
second. Let's do the Q&A part. Why a short film?
Why a short film? So I wanted to honor women for Women's History Month, and I felt this was the best way to do that and share and express myself.
And had you done any, like, this is your first film, right?
Yes.
So how does it feel to see your first film on the big screen?
It feels amazing. I really want to actually thank the women who were a part of it to actually make the film possible, for being fearless and sharing their stories and just welcoming the idea. I feel like in the beginning, I wrote the poem about grace, and grace really is how this whole thing happened, because there were moments. My first day of recording was actually when I was finally able to see my grandfather in the hospital, so it was actually a little hard for me. Remember, you were like, cancel it, and I was like, no, I'm gonna do it in honor of him. And literally it was grace that allowed me to move and do what I needed to do.
Yeah, I don't know how you got the strength to do that. So I commend you. You definitely, it was a bucket list thing. We didn't even mention that.
It was.
When we did our vision, this was something that you wanted to do this year. You wanted to contribute to Women's History Month. Yeah. And you stuck to it. I'm very proud of you for that. We got a question. What was the most challenging part of doing this project? It wasn't working with me, I'll tell you that.
No, that wasn't it. I think the most challenging part was believing that I could do it. I felt like there were moments, which is why I felt grace was so important for me to move, because I you get in your head, it's like you've never done a film before. Who do you think you are? Why do you think you're qualified to do this? But it's the women's stories that kind of helped me really push through. I really wanted to honor them. I valued each and every woman that was on this film, and I wanted to get their stories out, so that kind of helped me. But I think the hardest part was for me to believe in me and the courage to share my story, because it was very vulnerable, to talk about my childhood trauma at 8 years old. And I don't know that my mom ever knew that I was traumatized since that age and was in the hospital and saw him.
Right.
So that was probably it.
All right, we got another question.
How would you suggest women start the healing process? What is that first step? That's a great question. So for me, it was about self-awareness, like just paying attention to my triggers. And it wasn't instant. Like, I had to be triggered enough times for me to be like, oh wait, so this must be a trigger, this must be a problem, and so that I'm having. So really going within. One of the things that I am grateful for about the pandemic is that I was able to come back home. I think before that, we're all so busy, we want to go moving on to the next thing, and I needed to slow down, and that's what the pandemic did for me. So I was able to come back home to quiet the noise and really listen to what I wanted and needed. So the first step, I think, would be to come back home, to take time and be with yourself and really listen to what you need. Go back to yourself. You know what you need,
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's important to quiet out the noise and really listen. Like, I had to be like, who is Kat? What does Kat want? What is Kat like? Not what does social media tell me I need, or what does this person say that I should be doing. It's really like, what's going to come from me, and what I want.
I think just being observant of you, when you say awareness, like self-awareness, is kind of recognizing what triggers you in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when you take account of your life on a daily basis, and those things that happen to you in life, if something specific always triggers you in a bad way, then that's a trauma that needs some attention. Another question.
What are some signs of trauma and ways to address it early? What do you think? Oh, okay. These are great questions. So, some signs of trauma. My attitude. I'm really sweet, and I could be really mean at the same time. I'm just gonna be honest. I have a light switch that goes off sometimes. My boys know, and just like I could be moody, and I don't like to be moody. I like to be kind and and warm, but with enough triggering, I can switch it. Sorry, I'm working on it though.
You're doing great. I'm still alive. For everyone, wondering, I'm still here. So,
and to address it early, I think you just have to spend time with yourself. I feel like because we're always on the go, we don't do that enough. Mm-hmm. I think we really need to kind of slow down and take the time to be with ourselves. I did a lot of self-reflecting during the pandemic, and mm-hmm. I think I was just tired of the moodiness and tired of I was sad, to be honest, and I was really in a lot of pain. So I feel like you have to pay attention to what you need.
Yeah.
And then as a kid, I'm an empath, so I pick up everything, every energy that, so I feel like I needed someone to talk to that I trusted. I don't know if it's cultural, whatever, but you can have people that tell you, you can talk to me. I want you to tell me anything. I want you to tell me everything. And that's beautiful in theory, but if you're really not holding space for someone after you said that, and so you're like, tell me anything, and then they're judging you or they're criticizing you, or they have their energy about them is not welcoming and warm, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to keep it to myself next time, because you told me I can come to you and I came to you thinking it was a safe space, and it wasn't. So I wish that, I think I needed as a child the safe space to really be open and share my thoughts.
Well, and I think two things that are important to these questions is a spiritual practice.
1,000%.
100,000 trillion.
Yes.
Definitely a spiritual practice, because there's nothing that helps you to stay focused, stay centered, than having a spiritual practice, while you're going through life, and life happens. And also, I think you're never too young, old, woke, spiritual, to have therapy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that may be a professional therapist, that may be, an elder that you talk to who's older and wiser, and someone that, who won't judge you, but will help you, speak, get these things worked out. I think those are some.
Yeah, you do need to release. So if
an
it's
outlet.
You need an outlet.
That's a good point.
If crying is it's okay to cry. I just wanted to put that out there. My therapist told me it was okay to cry. I have a therapist now, and I was like, I cry all the time. She was like, it's okay to cry. It's releasing. So I was like, all right.
Let it out.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, another question.
What did you enjoy the most? Oh my gosh, the film process. What I loved was meeting with the women. That was my favorite part. Every time, the hugs at the end, just seeing the bravery that they had to share their stories. I am forever grateful, and that was my favorite part.
That's a good point. It was super brave.
Yeah.
Of all of them to.
Especially the women who didn't want to be on camera, but because I asked, they were like, fine, I'll do it. I just really wanted the world to see them the way that I see them. And every woman that was on this film are so special. And I feel like I wanted everyone to hear their story and what they had going on.
Awesome.
Do you have any plans for future short films? I actually think I want to do this again next year. And I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, maybe we'll see what God puts on my heart. If He puts something else on it, I'll definitely do it. If you have any suggestions, let me know.
Uh-oh, she's bitten. This one is kind of...
Ooh, what's next? Well, I guess I'll take this opportunity to tell you guys I have a job. After 14 years of not having a job, I am finally working, not a 9 to 5. I'm working a job that is in very true cat form. So I plan on, I'm the director of communications with them. So I plan on really helping them out and sharing their story because they have such a beautiful story. And I plan on continuing with Mahal, which is my energy baby. I love that company. We're working on some things that will come out soon. So yeah, that's it for now.
Awesome.
Aww. I got you, Josephine. How much of the film was also a part of the healing process for you? Okay, so how much of the film was also part? I think the whole process was. I feel like it was really hard for me because we lost Lolo. So when I couldn't show up, I showed up for them. So I feel like they helped me through that, right? So I didn't want to let them down. And I didn't want to let the idea that God gave me down either. I feel like He gave me this and this was my task to see it through. So I feel like it was they were a huge part of my healing journey because I had to show up. And but that's again why I said that grace is the one that carried me. And He definitely chose the women and put them together because I admire all of them.
Awesome.
For the women you featured, did it heal them? Is that what?
Yeah.
Okay, so from what I gathered, what they told me was that it was a release for them, which is great. It was a platform that they're grateful that they were able to share on. Maybe we should do a Q&A with them one day.
That's dope. I'm down with that. Oh, Yazzie says congrats on the job.
Thanks, Yazzie.
All right.
Okay.
You want to wrap this up?
Yes.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
I just want to say thank you for tuning in and following my journey and for the support. I want to thank the women who were a part of it to make the film possible. And I just want to say that life is really short and we're all doing our best to put our best selves out there. So just be kind and be gentle with yourself because it's hard sometimes, and I really want, if you are going through something or you're healing through something or whatever, I just want you to be kind to yourself because I know for me, I can be my worst critic or I may want things now, and it's okay to wait and trust the process and just be gentle with yourselves. Thank you again for watching, for being here, and love you guys.
So wait, we can watch. Wait.
Oh yeah, sorry. So the film will be available tomorrow. Tomorrow, and it's gonna live on A Colorful World.
Yep.
I want to make sure I got that right. So it'll be
it's right
on
there in the corner. A Colorful World.
So yeah. So you guys, if anyone missed it that wanted to see it, you can tell them to tune in. Actually, it'll be on my website, thecatasphere.com. So you can tune in there. All right. Am I forgetting anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Good
Have a
night.
great night. Be kind to yourself.